And yeah, for now you can start with Megan. There must be 3 other people showing up. I'm not sure they will come on time, but yeah, as soon as they join, they can. Oh, okay, you are still here, Megan. I saw someone. Okay, yeah, coach, you are still here. Yeah, I was going to say. So first, I must introduce Megan. So Coach Minenhle Junior will be the one doing the lesson today on the end games. You'll be teaching on the minor piece ending, focusing on opposite side bishops. So he's going to be working on that. And I don't want to take much of his time. The people that are late, I'll try to keep reaching out to them and see if they're able to join immediately. But he's a very strong chess player with a lot of experience. We've known each other for some time now in the chess community. Uh, yeah, he's a 1700 federated player and an active chess player. He still plays chess quite a lot himself, and he's always working on his chess. So you are in good hands, and I hope that you learn a lot and you take out uh, important ideas on how to play endgames, especially the opposite side bishop. So, all right, Coach Minenhle, over to you. Enjoy the lesson, and thanks for agreeing to come.
Thank you, and
Okay, cool. Bye bye.
bye.
Thank you, Coach. Should I wait a bit, or is it only you, Megan? Welcome, Megan.
Thank you.
Yeah, there should be 3 other people showing up, but I just need to make sure they sign in already now. Otherwise, you can already start maybe the intro. Okay, maybe it would be better if one more person joins in already now so you can start, but it's okay. Maybe because we're a little bit late, we can ask to just extra 5 minutes from. Okay, there we go. Keithan has joined. Okay, now you have 2 people. That is enough for a group to start. You can start with these 2, coach, and if the others join, they will just have to catch up. Is that fine?
Okay, no, that's fine.
Okay, all right. Enjoy the lesson.
Can I share already?
Yes, you can start to share your screen. Yeah, I've given you the opportunity to share.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Megan and Creighton. My name is Minenhle Junior Mncwabe. I'll be your coach for today, and I'll be focusing on minor pieces, specifically opposite color bishops. So the reason why I started with this is that people overlook this opposite color bishops. Normally, we know that when you have opposite color bishops, there's going to be a draw most of the time, but it's not necessary that. So we know that in opposite color bishops, there are some ideas or rules that you have to follow first. So I'll first give you like an idea of what you need to know before you start considering exchanging into opposite color bishops. Whether you are losing, whether you are down a pawn, or you just want to play it out. So firstly is the drawing tendencies. So normally in opposite color bishops, you can be a pawn down, 2 pawns down, or 3 pawns down, and the position can still be a draw. So you need to look out for these ideas and nuances in order for you to go to an ending that's opposite color bishops. But of course, if you're familiar with the opposite color bishops and then you're down 2 pawns, it's going to be an advantage for you to play opposite color bishops. But you have to be sure that you know them. And the second thing is the fortress. So in opposite color bishops, the weaker side needs to create chances that can be drawing for yourself, and the stronger side needs to make sure that the formation of the fortress does not exist. So with that, I will share my screen and then we'll start with the lesson for today. Just to demonstrate. Can everyone see the position?
I can.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, while we're still waiting for the position, the second thing is the pawn placement. So in this opposite color bishop, it's very important that you know the structures. So today I'll be speaking about two structures, two connected pass pawns, opposite color bishops, and separated pawns. So today's lesson is gonna be so instructive that you can use these ideas even when you're working on your end games with knights, bishop, whatever end game. This session will help you more in terms of your strategical point of view in the end games. So normally people, what they do is that they want to exchange and go into an end game because end game is much more easy. But in this case, it will give you insight and tell you that the end game is not just about playing moves. You have to make sure that when you think, where you calculate, you must make sure that you calculate something that is accurate so that you can get a winning position or you can draw if you are losing. So let me restart this. Okay. Can everyone see position?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so it's white to move in this position. So you are playing white, I'll give you 2 minutes. White to move. So we have opposite color bishops and white has two isolated pawns and two islands. If you don't know, these are islands. And then black has one island. Pawns are connected. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you have two pass pawns. So what is your idea as white? So it's very important when you're looking at endgame or at the board, you must make sure that you look at the whole board. Make sure that when you look at the board, you look at the whole board to get the insight that you will need for the position. So are you playing? You're playing white now. So I'll give you a minute at 10 past 5. You can give me an answer. So try to move. And try to use the rules that I've given you. One minute left. Okay, it's 5:10. Can I have someone? Can I have someone who can answer? Can I have someone? Can I have okay. Catherine, yes, your hand is up. You can
I
answer.
would play king to g4
King to G4. Okay, why would you play King G4?
because I'm bringing the king into the game, and also I can come around and take the pawns on f6 and e6.
Okay, let's try it out. You play King G4, and then if I play Bishop back, what happens here?
Then I would play bishop g6.
Bishop G6.
Yes.
Then I check you.
I would play king to f3.
King F3. And then I come with my king. You see, you're having a difficult time here, nah? Do you like your position?
Not so much.
Okay, can I have someone else to answer? I'll come back to you. Does anyone who has a different idea to this? Mongoletu, Brooklyn, Megan, do you have a different idea? So I'll give you a minute. Okay, who was speaking? Catherine. So what you do in this situation, eh? So before you start, what was your thought process? My thought, yes?
Oh, I was thinking of trying to attack the f7, f6, and e6 pawns.
Okay, that's a good idea, trying to attack them. Okay, but when you saw that when you move your pawn, your king on g4, and then I played bishop back, you can't really attack them. When you try and attack with the bishop, I just played f5, and then you can't really attack.
Yes.
That's when you calculate in endings. It's very important to be precise, because one move can make sure that you are losing the game or you are drawing. So when you're looking at this position and you're looking at opposite color bishop, your bishop is the light square bishop, right? So what you want to do, you want to cut off all these pawns, because already you know that these pawns are on dark squares.
Yes.
So they can never go on light squares, because you want to capture them if they are not protected. For example, let's say the pawns, let's say I play maybe bishop here, and then the opponent plays this. So this bishop here will make sure that the pawns don't move anywhere. So black doesn't want this, but as white, you want this situation. So what move can you make that will make sure that this idea that you want will happen? So you first look at this king g4, you're seeing in your hand that this move doesn't work.
Yes.
And you have, so you really want to attack this pawn on where? On e6, because this bishop is the light square bishop. It can only attack this pawn. But you can't attack this pawn on bishop f5 because you're just going to lose the pawn. So you look at this idea, c5. So when you look at this idea, c5, this is a threat. So normally when you calculate, there are three things that you have to look for. So it's checks, captures, and threats. So in this case, you don't have any checks, but you have a threat, which is c5. Black has to react to your threat. It's either you capture the pawn or you move back. So remember when I said that you can draw opposite color bishop if you are pawn down, 2 pawns down, or even 3 pawns down,
Yes.
if the situation allows you. So this, in your head, you're calculating, you're seeing this idea, you play c5. And if black capture this, then what move will you make? Remember?
Bishop b3.
Bishop b3.
Yes.
I am black. I can't defend this pawn on e6. So I have to push. What move can you make now?
Bishop e6.
Bishop e6 is also a good move. Bishop e6. So you see, you're getting this idea that you had in mind. Do you think white can win this game, or black can win this game after this?
If you play correctly, I think black will win. But if you play correctly, then I think it'll be a draw.
Yes, with correct play, white is drawing, because black cannot come into light squares, because the bishop will block the light squares for the pawns. You cannot really sack anything. So what happens that this bishop is going to stay in this diagonal, h3 ch diagonal. So because you cannot by any means attack this bishop. So this is one of the fundamentals that you have to know in bishop endgames, that the side that has for example, in this case, the pawns are all on one side. So if the bishop is also closer to the pawns and the king is closer to the pawns, and the bishop on the black bishop, the pawns on the black bishops are on the same side as the opponents, same side as their, same side as black. For example, you have a black bishop and your pawns are on dark squares. So you can't really push any pawns. You need your king to support your pawn push, because the black bishop cannot really help in pushing the pawns. So after playing king c7 and white plays king e4, now the king is a blockader to these pawns. You can't really push these pawns. And for white, it's advisable for white in this case to not move the king and just move the bishop.
Yes. Then it'll be a draw.
Then this is going to be a draw. If you try and go and attack this this pawn on f6, you won't really get it, because bishop can go back, and now you're allowing the black bishop to come in. So in this case, you blockade with the king, and the bishop can be on this diagonal, c3, c8, and h3 diagonal.
Yes.
So let's go to another one. This is the position. And move back this. And I get to the position like, yeah. In this case, yeah, this is the position. So in this position, when you look at this position, if you don't know opposite color bishops, you would say white is winning or losing. What would you say? White is winning or losing?
If I don't know opposite color bishops, I would say that white is winning.
White is winning. So after what you have heard me saying, what is your first idea you have to look for in this situation? Because remember, I said that if you have a bishop that is opposite side of your opponent, and then the pawns are on the same side of the squares of your opponent, then it's easy for you to blockade, because a bishop can blockade the opposite square of your opponent. For example, in this case, you have a light square bishop and your opponent has a dark square bishop. Let's say the pawns is on e5 and f4. It's easy for you to blockade if your bishop is on d7 and your king is on where? Is on g6. So you want that structure, but it's not easy for you to get it. You get the structure now. So, and this is a pass pawns. So as white, you are looking to push the pawns. So your threat is pushing these pawns. But now you have ideas of exchanging these pawns, sacrificing these pawns for two bishops, for two pawns, and then getting a draw. Because you can't mate with a bishop and a king. So as black, your idea is what? Is looking for a drawing chance by exchanging your bishops for two pawns and getting a draw. And as white, what are you looking for? You're looking for to advance your pawns without sacrificing or exchanging pawns.
Yes.
So it's black to move. What move can you make for black that is drawing?
I think I would play bishop to c2.
Bishop c2.
Yes.
Okay, if you play bishop c2, and then I'll play king f4. Let me give you a minute. Let me give you a minute so to calculate bishop c2, because it's important to have time and calculate, because you can just say any moves, but you must back up your move why you want to say bishop c2.
Yes.
So try and calculate this line of bishop c2. I'll give you a minute. So it's 17:23. I'll give you a minute.
Okay.
And the others can also calculate this idea. So in the meantime, while you're still calculating this, it's very important that the threat for black, for white in this case, is to push the pawns. So remember that white cannot push the pawn on f6 to check, because there will be a blockade on what? The king on e6. So you want to advance your pawns at the proper time.
I see. I just calculated. I don't think bishop c2 will work.
Why? Let's say you
Because
play bishop c2, okay?
then the white can play king f4.
King f4.
And if you try to play like king f7, then white can play king g5. And then I think it's winning for white.
Okay, but can you demonstrate how is it winning?
And then I think black can play maybe king g7.
Yes.
Then you can push maybe f6.
f6.
Oh. No, e6.
E6 is winning. So after
Yes.
this, if I try and maybe attack, can't really attack here. So what move can you make?
Bishop c3.
Bishop c3. And if I go back, what do? Do you push the pawn?
No.
What do you do?
King f6.
King f6. Yes. You want to shield? For example, you want to shield your pawn on e6. You don't want to lose it. And then at the right time, you push f6. So in this case, it's very important to see that King c2 does not work. So if King c2 does not work, what can you do? Because we have to play a move.
I'm thinking of bishop b3 or
Okay, if you play bishop b3, and then let me see. Then I check you. Bishop g5 check.
king
King
f7.
f7. King d4.
I can just play a waiting move like bishop a2.
Bishop a2, ne?
Yeah.
I can also wait. We can play the waiting game.
But then we can draw it like by repetition, like just playing repeating moves.
No, but I just played a move now. I don't have to draw. So I can come around. What do you do?
Hmm. Now okay, yeah, then white will win, yeah. So bishop b3 isn't good.
I don't know if white can win. The thing is that what happened is, what I notice when people are playing is that they see this position and confirm that, okay, white is winning, and then they resign. You have to play it out. You have to play it out. Even if you're losing, you have to play it out. But in this case, white is winning. But you have to play it out and know why white is winning.
Okay.
You know why white is winning? White is making black into 6-1 because this bishop has to stay on this diagonal a2 g8, because if you play check, I move to f4, and then if you don't go back to this diagonal, I have this check, and then my king can tuck in on e5. So if you stay on this diagonal, my king will run, and if you try and go back, I'll check you, and then let me just demonstrate this. So if you go play here, my king will run.
Yeah, what if you just keep playing the black bishop and you don't move your king? You just keep on playing the black bishop.
Playing back bishop. So if you play, let's say you play black, I'll play white, né? So
Yeah.
what you do here is that the king is not moving. You play back. You come back.
No, wait. Can you please go and move back?
Yeah, in this
Then can't you play bishop c2?
Then I've checked first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's why I did not move king here, because if you check me, I cannot go here because you take the pawn. That's why I play this move king e3, and then you have to go back. King d4. Do you want to still attack? Because you're gonna get this check. So you still have to stay.
Yeah.
You still have to stay in the same diagonal.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then Am I in Zoom song here?
I think king c5.
King C5.
Yeah, then
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
yeah,
go.
yeah. King C5. If king bishop C2 check, and then you have to move away, and then F6. This is the winning continuation. After this, you're winning any time soon. So if you try an attack, my king is going to be on D6. So the idea here is that bishop B3 and bishop C2 does not work, right? So we saw that. Try and go back. Okay, yeah, this was the position. So what move can black play to draw? So we saw bishop B3 does not work, bishop C2 does not work.
What about bishop d7?
Bishop B4.
D7.
Okay, bishop D7.
Yeah.
And after bishop D7, what is your continuation?
It's like and now the white king can't go, like he can't move from his pawn.
You can't
He
move
has
away
to
from the
stay
pawn.
there. Yeah, he has to stay there and protect the pawn.
Exactly, exactly. You can't move. In this case, you can move. But if you go back, then you get this check, and then you're losing. But if you play bishop D7, you are tying down the king to the pawn, protecting the pawn. Because you can't really play F6, because the king is going to come in. And then
Yeah, and
the
there's
pawns are, and then this is a dead draw. So it's very important to know this idea that as black, you want to draw, and then at any point you want to sacrifice this bishop for 2 pawns. But you can't really play passive in these positions. Really play passive by playing bishop C7, blockading these pawns. Let me go to another idea. So here, okay. Let me get this position like this. So if it's white to move, white is winning. But if it's black to move, is black drawing or black still losing? Remember you have to use this. Remember you have to use the same idea that you used on the previous one. What do you do?
bishop f8, tying the king down to the pawn.
Tying down the king to the pawn.
Yeah.
Let's say I play king here.
Then king g8.
King g8. And then bishop check. This is a draw, right?
Yeah.
Because the king cannot do anything, cannot move without this pawn being attacked.
Yeah.
So this passive defending, moving your bishop back, is very important in these opposite color bishops. Because now, normally when you are told to defend, you defend where? You defend away from your king. For example, you defend at the long diagonal. You want to defend by playing bishop c1 and tying this pawn. But now, little did you know that this pawn is losing. Let's say, for example, we have this position. I have this position like this. Say we have this position like this. In order to have let's say we have this position like this. So it's white to move. Is white losing or drawing?
Winning.
Oh no, sorry, it's black to move. Sorry, it's black to move. Wait. Let me get this like this. Yeah, it's black to move. Is black losing or drawing?
Drawing.
Why? Why is it drawing?
Like the bishop has to stay in this long diagonal, and then the white king can't really like go and support his pawns to promote.
Okay,
And then,
can you demonstrate for me? For example, you're playing black, let me play white.
okay, I'll play black.
Okay, it's black to move.
Bishop c3.
Bishop c3. And then bishop here.
Bishop f6.
Bishop f6. And then here.
Bishop c3.
Bishop c3.
Yeah.
And then here.
Bishop c3.
Bishop c3. Okay. Yeah. That is right. This is the defense that is needed because you can't really push this pawn. Because after you push this pawn, what do?
You capture with the bishop.
You capture with the bishop. So this passive defending really helps in opposite color bishops. So let me go to the fourth one. Now, let me change the position a bit. Let me do it like this. Let me make it. Yeah. So it's black to move. So if it's white to move, white is winning. And if it's black to move, is white winning or losing? And if you give me an answer, you must give me an explanation why you're saying it's losing or winning. Remember to use the rules that I've told you about. Because in this case, we're not having only the pass pawns. I have the pawn also to promote. Does this help in drawing? Because if you try and sacrifice a bishop for 2 pawns, I still have a pawn that I can promote. Is this relevant or is not? This position is irrelevant, having the pawns on the side. Is it still a draw or is black losing?
I think black is losing.
Why are you saying black is losing?
Because
okay.
Because we have the pawns. The white has 2 pawns, and if you try to trade the bishop for the 2 pawns, you can lose the pawn on b5, and then white can just promote and win.
Okay, let me give you 2 minutes for you to calculate what you're saying. Because what I'm hearing is that you cannot sacrifice a bishop for 2 pawns, which is correct. But did you finish your continuation? Do you have to sacrifice your bishop? That's the question.
I'll just calculate and see.
Okay. Because remember, when you're calculating this, you must make sure that your move that you're making is the correct move. Because one slip, you're losing the game. Because that's the reason why I changed the move order. If white is playing, white is winning. But if black is playing, is black winning or losing? That's the question. And it's important when you're analyzing your game, you're looking at your position, whether you've played a tournament or you're just analyzing a game. You must be real with yourself. You must play until the end. Even if it's losing, you play until the end. For example, if you see that it's losing, the position is losing, you can see maybe the pawn is promoting. Okay, then you can stop there. But if you don't see the proper continuation of how you're losing, you must make sure that you sit down and calculate. Because these are forcing moves that you have to make in pawn end games, bishop end games, more especially opposite color bishops. Because I've seen people in SHACC, keys in SHACC lose such positions.
And in this position, I think it's a draw.
Please back it up with your variation.
Because like black doesn't have to give up his bishop for those 2 pawns.
What can black do?
He can just place his king, like he can place his king on, yeah, he can place his king on g8 and just keep on playing the bishop.
Keep on playing the bishop. For example, where do you want to play your bishop? It's black to move, right?
Yeah. Now, can we start with king h7?
King h7, eh?
Yeah.
And then if I play
Then
e5,
then b is it, yeah. Then bishop h5.
bishop h5 is not possible. You mean bishop f7?
I may say bishop t1, sorry.
Bishop d1. And then king h4?
And bishop e2.
Check. g6 check.
King h6. King g7.
King comes in.
And what about bishop d3?
h6 check.
Nah, I don't think I can continue.
Exactly. So in this, so it's very important to back it up, because you continued by saying that you cannot exchange the bishop, right? Which is correct. You cannot exchange the bishop for these 2 pawns because you are losing. Because this pawn on b4 can promote. No?
Yes.
And you cannot play king h6, king h7, because you saw how you lost. After g4, it's ugly.
Yeah.
Remember what we learned in the first three diagrams in the position. How do you defend? These pawns are on light squares, so you want to attack them. But you saw that if you come with your king, and after I play g5, your king cannot do anything.
Yeah.
So how can you exploit this or try to exploit it? How can you? I'll give you a hint. You have to move your bishop.
Can't you play bishop d1?
Bishop d1. Okay, wait. Wait. Let me just. Okay. Bishop d1. Can I play g5 now?
No.
You cannot. I cannot play g5. So
Yeah.
I am tied in this position. So if I play king h4, what do you do?
I was thinking of king h7 again.
King h7 again.
But don't we just go back like what we did last game on the last line?
So you see, you can't play king h7. So what do you do after
Bishop
this?
bishop e2.
I play g4 now. What happens?
I don't know how to stop those pawns. It
Does
seems like
anyone?
white is winning.
It seems like white is winning.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you sure white is winning?
Yeah.
Does anyone has a different answer?
Yes.
What is Bongolesu saying? Oh, someone's hands up. Catherine, yes.
I would play bishop f7.
Bishop f7. And then after king h4.
I'd play king h7.
Let me give you 2 minutes to calculate this. So you have to move your bishop, né?
So maybe if we go back to the bishop f7 and king h4.
Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes now to calculate your variation.
Okay.
Ngandusha variations at future. Ndusha variations at future.
I think king h7 won't work.
Okay, you have a minute. Okay, that's done. Okay, king h7 won't work.
So
So
so it's bishop f7.
I can still play king h8, king h4,
I think bishop e8.
bishop e8.
Yeah. Oh,
e5.
I think I'm gonna play king h7 now.
Okay, after this valuation, you're saying black is drawing or black is losing?
I think black is drawing.
Okay, I play g6 check.
Oh, I
So remember,
forgot about
yes,
the pawn.
we forgot about the pawn. Remember when I said you must first look at the whole board? Because in this case, I can sacrifice these 2 pawns for a bishop. because I have the pawn on b4. So this is losing, right?
Yes.
So does bishop f7 draws or
No,
loses?
it loses.
It loses, no?
Yes.
So what move can you do?
Maybe bishop e6.
Bishop e6. Okay. Whose move is it? Okay. Bishop e6. I still play g4.
Oh. I don't know.
Okay. Let me tell you. So what you're looking for in the previous diagram, what we saw that the defense was to bring your bishop back and attack this pawn, tying this pawn up. So in this case, you cannot tie this pawn up by playing bishop back, by defending passive, because there's a pawn on opposite side.
Yes.
It's not easy, no?
Yes.
Defending passive. It's not easy defending passive.
Yes.
So what you look for is that, remember now that this bishop is eyeing on the h8 square. So
Yes.
if you push these pawns, you're gonna promote. But remember that this bishop is still can control this diagonal and this diagonal. So when you calculate, don't just confirm and then, okay, I play bishop d1, I play bishop f7, and then I continue playing with my king or king h7, and then I'm losing. No? So in this position and in endgames, you know there's something that's called distant defending. So I'll show you this concept. So the first move, you play bishop. You play bishop d1. Okay, yeah, you play bishop d1. And then, of course, king plays king h4 because you want to play g5, right?
Yes.
Next move. G5, next move.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of you playing king h7, because now there will be tempo on your king, you play king f7.
Oh.
So you ask yourself, what's the difference between king h7 and king h7 and king f7? Because at the end, you're going to get checked. No?
Yes.
So after this, white plays g4 as expected. But now the trick is, you don't go back with your bishop trying to exchange, because now you're losing, right? You're losing the pawn. You're losing the game after exchanging the bishop with 2 pawns.
Yes.
You play king e6. Did someone think about this move?
I don't know, but I didn't.
The reason why you play king e6 is that in this situation, the king wants to go around, right? Wants to march around.
Yes.
But now the king cannot move this pawn. This pawn is what? It's attacked by the bishop.
Mm-hmm.
And if you push this pawn on h6, the king come in and blockade. Now this is a draw, right?
Yes.
So the reason why you play king e6 is that this king is stuck here on where? On h4. And if you try and push g6, then what happens? King comes to f5.
Yes.
Now this king on h4 is what? Is tied down to this pawn. You can't really push h6 because I'll take the pawn.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you try, let me just demonstrate like this. You can't push h6 because I just take the pawn and then it's easy draw. And then if you push here, what happens? What's the move?
Bishop E3.
Bishop c3.
Bishop, yeah.
Bishop c3. You know, you didn't have to sacrifice your bishop.
Yes.
So this concept is very important. Carving up squares for the king, because you're taking squares from the king. After g4, you play king e6. You're making sure that this bishop is attacking this pawn on h4. The king is tied in this pawn on h4. You can't really push this pawn because the king is just going to come in.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, maybe play this move, waiting move, king e2. Now, after this check, you don't have king f5. So if you play king e6 now, king coming on g5. So the critical square was g5 for the white king. So you see this concept.
Yes.
Distant defending.
Mm-hmm.
So this concept will also help you when also you're looking at pawn endgames, where there's a thing that's called distant, what do you call this thing? Distance defending, in terms of the pawn, the king is on g7, and then the queen, the white king is on g3. Distant opposition. Distant opposition. So you have 1, 2, 3 spaces in between. That's distance. But if you have one square in between the kings, that's opposition. So in this case, you get the opposition also diagonally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called distant defending. You're defending the pawn diagonally because you're cutting off squares from the king. So remember that when you're looking at opposite color bishops, you look at the most forcing lines. So first we saw the most forcing lines is bishop f7 and then bishop d1 trying to tie in. But continuation is very important because one slip you saw that you said black is losing.
Yeah.
So it's very important to look into this position. And then, of course, when you're getting to this position, you know how to defend and how to maneuver if your opponent is not aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we have 2 minutes. Okay, I won't continue with this. I just want to give you guys the platform maybe for any questions that you have on opposite color bishops that maybe I did not cover, that you maybe also had in your games and you feel like opposite color bishops are too tricky or maybe always drawish. You know, a question that you have for me that I can answer. Do you have any questions about this position, the previous positions, or like in general, opposite color bishops? Did you take anything from this position? And maybe you can use it in your game. Catherine, do you have any question? Monguletu, do you have any question?
No. Yeah, but I can use this in my games because when I played in one of the big tournaments, the closed, I had positions like this and I got stuck and I didn't know what to do. And that caused me. So I couldn't make it through the second round.
Okay, so yeah, no, it's very important to know this kind of position. And of course, if you're playing online, you know, time is also a factor in that. So if you maybe try by giving yourself 30 minutes solving positions like this, it will be very useful in your games, not only in opposite color bishops, because now you see that you're using the concept that you're using on pawn end games, the distance opposition, using that, and also using like things like tempo, using like defense and stuff like that. So this is very useful information that you can take in your game. So is that all? Do you have any other questions?
No, but thank you very much for helping me.
Okay, no problem. And then of course, there's I don't know if you know this, like you know that if you have a bishop, if you have a, like for example, if we have a light square bishop here, light square bishop, and then this pawn is queening on the opposite color of your bishop, it can be a draw. Like if you have a king and your opponent has a pawn that's queening on the opposite color of your bishop, that's a draw. Do you know, guys know that, right?
Yeah, I once read it in one of I in one of those endgame books.
Yeah, so those kind of situation also happens in the opposite color bishops. So I think it's nice to also look into that and also bind it with this pass pawns like this, because this will help you very much also in your openings, you know, and seeing how your end games, what end games do you want to play? Because in most cases, we know that if you have opposite color bishop, that's drawish. I'm sure you've heard about that. But in this case, it's a different situation now. There's a lot to take in. Yeah. So if there's no question, I think that's all for today. So thank you for joining. There's no questions.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll give to Coach Dion. Coach Dion, are you
Yes, I'm here, Coach.
around? Okay.
Thank you so much, Coach Minenhle, for teaching your knowledge on the opposite color bishops. Yeah, so before we end the lesson, I know we just went over a little bit on time, but yeah, I won't say too many things. But before maybe I let everyone leave, let me hear from everyone at least what are 2 things you have learned from Coach Minenhle's lesson today. Okay, Keaton?
I've learned about how to a distance defending, and also about I didn't really know much about opposite color bishops, so he's helped me a lot today with opposite color bishops.
Okay, no, that's good. Thank you. Megan, what are 2 things that you learned from Coach Minenhle today?
Mine are probably about the same as Keithan, because like I know nothing about that like at all. And yeah, it's just really good. It's nerd now. Thank you.
Wonderful. No, that's good to hear. All right, Bongo, let you.
I've learned that 2 colored bishops that are not in the same spots that can be the draw. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, I won't take too much more of your time, but thank you so much for taking time to come. Now, of course, since you guys know me from the lessons, the intermediate lessons, we usually try to give out some practice and skill. So I'll just ask Coach Minenhle to give you maybe some exercises to practice what you have learned, because it's not enough to just sit in this lesson plus minus an hour, and then you become an endgame, an endgame superman or superwoman now. it won't work like that. You need to practice what you have learned and solve some exercises that will challenge you to use the new things you now learned about this. So yeah, that's the plan, to at least help you to work on that, and then we'll try to review that homework for the following endgame lesson. So yeah, otherwise, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Coach Minenhle again, and everyone have a good evening. Thank you. Of course, and as always, keep chasing. All right?
Thank you,
Bye
Coach.
bye. Thanks, Coach.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.